The throne room of the Velkari Empire fell silent as Commander Zexthor limped before the Royal Council. His chitinous armor bore scorch marks, and one of his forearms hung uselessly at his side. The assembled nobility, resplendent in their crystalline robes, leaned forward with anticipation. "Speak, Commander," High Regent Salmora commanded, her antenna quivering. "Tell us of your glorious victory over the human incursion into the Deneb sector." Zexthor's mandibles clicked nervously. "Your Excellency, There was no victory." Gasps echoed through the chamber. The Velkari had ruled this spiral arm of the galaxy for 3,000 cycles. They had conquered 47 species, absorbed them into their empire. Never had they known defeat. "Impossible," Prince Kethran hissed from his elevated seat. "You commanded 3 battle cruisers, 15 destroyers, and over 4,000 warriors. The human ship was barely larger than a scouting frigate." "That is correct, Your Highness," Zexthor said, his voice hollow. It was a scouting frigate. 24 hours earlier, the human vessel Pathfinder had drifted through the Deneb sector on what should have been a routine reconnaissance mission. Jack Henderson sat in the pilot's chair, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls while he hummed an old Earth tune. "Picking up multiple signatures," Jessica Torres called from the sensor station, her dark eyes narrowing as data streamed across her screens. "Velkari formation. 3 heavies, 15 medium craft. They're moving to intercept." Jack's casual demeanor evaporated. "Battle stations. Send a priority message to Fleet Command. We found them." Jessica's fingers flew across her console. "Message away. ETA for backup is 6 hours." She paused, studying the enemy formation. "Jack, they're launching boarding pods. Looks like they want to capture us intact." A grim smile crossed Jack's face. "Then let's give them a proper human welcome." "We boarded their vessel," Zexthor continued, his voice trembling. 80 of our finest shock troops. The ship's interior was cramped, primitive by our standards. "We believed victory would be swift, and," Salmora prompted, her patience wearing thin. "The male Jack, he fought like nothing we had ever encountered. He moved through our soldiers like water, using their own weapons against them. And the female, Jessica, she had sabotaged our boarding pods remotely before we even docked. Half our troops were vented into space when she triggered emergency decompressions in the docking collars." Prince Kethran's scales flushed purple with rage. 2 humans defeated 80 Velkari warriors? "They fought for 47 minutes, Zexthor said. When we finally cornered them in engineering, they had already overloaded their reactor core. The male, Jack, he was wounded, bleeding from multiple plasma burns, but he smiled at us, and said, 'Should have brought more ships.' Then their vessel detonated. The explosion crippled 2 of our cruisers. Jessica had dragged Jack toward the escape pod as alarms blared throughout the Pathfinder. 'Reactors at critical,' she shouted over the noise. 30 seconds. Jack stumbled, clutching his side where Velkari plasma had seared through his tactical suit. "The data core, did you purge it?" "Purged and transmitted to command," Jessica confirmed, pulling him into the pod. "Everything we learned about their fleet composition, their jump drives, their command structure, it's all headed home." The pod's door sealed with a hiss. Through the viewport they watched as dozens of Velkari soldiers scrambled back toward their ships, finally recognizing the trap. "Think they'll learn?" Jack asked, wincing as the pod's G-forces pressed them into their seats. Jessica activated the emergency beacon. "About humanity? Yeah, they'll learn." The Pathfinder erupted in a sphere of white fire, taking 2 Velkari cruisers with it. "But this is only one engagement," Salmora insisted, though uncertainty crept into her voice. "Surely our forces can adapt, Your Excellency," Zexthor interrupted, his courage finally breaking. "We captured their communications before the ship's destruction. We thought we were fighting an advance guard, perhaps a small attack force, but the transmissions—" He paused, his voice dropping to barely a whisper. "They were reporting to something called Scout Command. These 2 humans, Jack and Jessica, they were part of a reconnaissance unit. Not soldiers, not warriors, scouts." The throne room erupted in chaos. Nobles shouted over one another, their voices rising in panic and disbelief. Prince Kethran stood, his full height impressive even among his kind. "Are you telling this council that we lost 2 battle cruisers to a human scouting party? That their actual military forces are still coming?" "Yes, Your Highness," Zexthor said. "The message they transmitted contained detailed information about our fleet. And according to their communications," Something called the Fifth Fleet will arrive in the sector within 6 hours. Based on our intelligence, their fleet's number in the hundreds of vessels. Salmora's antenna drooped. For 3,000 cycles, the Velkari had expanded unchecked. Now, for the first time, they had encountered a species that refused to yield. A species where even their scouts fought with suicidal determination and tactical brilliance. "Recall all forces from human space," she commanded, her voice heavy with the weight of empire. Immediately. As the council dissolved into frantic discussions of retreat and defensive positions, Zexthor stood silent, remembering Jack's final smile. The human had known he was going to die, had accepted it, had embraced it if it meant taking enemies with him and getting intelligence home. The Velkari had fought scouts. The Velkari had barely survived. Now the real human military was coming, and Zexthor knew in his heart that the Empire's age of conquest was over.